You know what's funny is that, again, people think I hate traditional martial arts. I don't hate traditional martial arts. I don't like how they're marketed, though.
Kung Fu Chronicles, let's get ready to rumble! Cause this go round, we're talking Krav Maga, the Israeli martial art that I know some of y'all love to hate. I see you, and you. I see you. But full disclosure, I've been training in it for the past 5 years myself.
Okay, I mean, dang, what you want, a Scooby snack?
But I've got a guy who's not only a prominent coach in the art, but he's also the first man of color to teach and open a school in the States. Coach Donavin Britt. Now, real quick before we roll, do me a favor, drop a little like down below, share the content so we can help this community grow, and most importantly, comment, give us your feedback, let us know what you're not liking, but more importantly, what you're liking, so of course we can make more of that.
Good job, my brother. We rocking with you.
Let's get it popping. We're going on the Krav Maga path, art I also train in, but I'm talking to someone who's a specialist in this. Okay, he is a business owner, martial artist, in fact, 3rd degree black belt in Krav Maga, Army vet, and owner of the Las Vegas Combat Academy, yes?
Yes, indeed.
Coach Donavin Britt, how are you, sir?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being here. So our common friend, Tony Benitez, who used to train with us, I think now trains with you guys down in Las Vegas. So he highly recommends your school. I'm going to get started right away, though. You're starting martial arts. I know you're an Oakland guy, right? How did you get rolling in martial arts?
So I grew up. Well, I traveled a lot when I was a kid. I lived in a lot of different places, from Connecticut to Alaska, but Bay Area is my house. My Bay Area is my home. I was born in Vallejo, and grew up in San Leandro and Oakland.
I'd like to be pimps from Oakland, but it's not Halloween.
So my very first martial art ever was boxing back in the day. All right. And then I started training in karate, Kyokushin karate, and then Filipino martial arts. I really got heavily into that. And then sort of kind of matured into wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and then it kind of found my home in Krav Maga. After I got done playing college football, I was still buzzing for running into people full speed and stuff, so Krav Maga kind of appealed to me.
To throw it. Oh, big hit.
So I've been training Krav Maga for many years, and have trained with some of the top guys in the world. I'm a 3rd degree black belt under John Whitman, Krav Maga Alliance. But we all started with Krav Maga Worldwide, the mothership. So I always tell people, despite all the infighting and stuff that happens, you can't deny the foundation of what it was, at least in the United States. So with Darren and the rest of those guys over there, I train with everybody, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, okay. And then so also you were in the Army for a few years, right?
Yeah, I was in the United States Army. I spent most of my time in the reserves, but I was in PSYOPs, 7th Psychological Operations Group out of Moffett Federal Airfield in Redwood City, California, Mountain View actually. But yeah, I was in PSYOPs, which is Special Operations Group. I was not one of these infantrymen or door kicker or one of these type of guys like that. However, because we were in the Special Operations, in circle in that USACAPOC, I had to train and do everything at soft qualifications. So we were oftentimes attached to forward units, or oftentimes attached to special operations groups with USIOP specialists and things like that. So I got invited on a lot of different things because I had a very special skill in the Army. I could type.
Right.
So I could type.
He is, in my 40 years in this business, the fastest typist I've ever seen.
And I can drive anything with wheels, and I'm pretty handy with a a weapon in my hand. So I was able to do a lot of different things there, and learn most importantly how to lead and how to be led, how to teach, how to provide structure, how to operate within a structure, and most importantly, when to break the rules. That's the biggest part in the Army, is when to break the rules.
Right, because I think that ties in also. Well, you tell me that ties into more your affiliation, maybe your kind of love of Krav Maga, more of like a combative martial style versus say the more traditional ones.
Yeah, man. You know what's funny is that again, people think I hate traditional martial arts. I don't hate traditional martial arts. I don't like how they're marketed, though. Right?
Got you.
So what I mean by that is there's a lot of traditional martial arts out there, and all martial arts are good for what they were created for. But when you start, trying to say, hey, one system can blanket everything, it's not true. And even in Krav Maga, people don't like to admit that there are holes in Krav Maga. There are.
Absolutely.
Clearly. And there's things that other systems do better than we do in Krav Maga because they specialize in those things. Nothing wrong with that. But the overall, I would say, day-to-day use of Krav Maga and its purpose really appeals to me because it doesn't require that one become, a great fighter in order to defend themselves. And I think that's a message that is being, has been promulgated and incorrectly so, telling people that they have to train for 55 years to learn how to defend themselves. And they're going to be too old to do something. Then you're going to be like, I need a gun now. Right.
This is bullshit, man. I want a gun. Come on, man. You got 2 motherfucking guns, man. Somebody give me a gun.
So I would take the approach that, hey, I'm going to train you like you're going to get into something tomorrow.
Right.
And so the stuff I show you today is going to vastly improve your chances for survival.
Right.
That's it. And if we treat Krav Maga like that, then I think it has a great use for everyday people in self-defense situations.
Okay. No, and I agree with you. It's an interesting stat for me as I was like researching you and things about this. So it's like, obviously you probably know this.
That you're one of 3 African-American owners of a Krav Maga school in the U.S., which is crazy to me, but it's true. Yeah, I was the first.
I was actually the first. Actually, there's 4. There's 4 now. There's someone else in Baltimore, in Maryland.
I know there's a guy in Maryland. Yes. Yeah. I think
so there's 4 now. So, but I know the other thing. In fact, Corey Davis that owns the one in Alaska, I've known Corey since he was 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
He actually used to, when I lived in Alaska, coincidentally, he used to live we lived in the same building. We lived in an apartment downstairs from us. I've known, our families have known each other for a long time.
Oh, nice.
So coincidentally, he got into Krav Maga many, many years later. So I've known him for a long time. And then Tony Morrison out in New York is one of my dear friends.
Thank you.
Krav Maga, I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yes, sir.
It's an Israeli form of self-defense, and it's pretty brutal and effective.
Yes, sir.
It's good. So we're kind of in rarefied air, but I was the first one in the world, first Black-owned Krav Maga school on the planet. So
wow, all right.
I'm very proud of that.
Man. Props to you, sir.
Man. Yeah, man. I'm very proud of that. And I like to try to introduce many of our people to the culture as we can. Also to understanding, its direct ties to Israel. That's very, very important. I'm a big proponent of not just taking a martial art from a culture, but immerse yourself in the culture. If you're going to train in Filipino martial arts, you need to understand why. Why they did what they did, why it came to be, how it came to be, the culture of the people, the music, the songs, the food, all of it. Don't just nitpick, take everything, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, Krav Maga has been phenomenal for me as far as that sort of growth, and it fits my lifestyle and my personality.
Yeah, I mean, I found that's interesting. Obviously, I'm a man of color, I'm a black man just like you, and it's noticeable. It's like for me when I started in traditional martial arts, like I told you before. When I got into Krav, you're always looking, you're always cognizant. All right, there's another black person. It's like not that many of us that train in Krav. So I was like, we can
literally throw a stone around all of us and hit all of us. You throw one stone and get all of us. That's how few there are, as far as from an instruction standpoint and a school ownership standpoint, for sure.
Absolutely. When I started, there was one instructor at the time in my school. So it's like, I know the deal. I was like, why do you think that is, though? It's like, because this is a valid martial art.
Yeah, man, that's a phenomenal question. So one of the things I think is access. Okay. Right? Access to good trainers. And then also, too, a lot of people can't even say Krav Maga.
Spock, sabotage the system.
Okay, can you have line 193 again? It's sabotage and sabotage.
I don't say sabotage. You say sabotage. I say sabotage.
That's true.
Like that, Krav Maggie, Krav McGraw. I've heard it all kinds of different ways. So I think that sometimes can be a barrier to people learning, and understanding. And then the other thing is the proliferation of, Taekwondo schools. People think martial arts, they start to think karate, and most of the karate schools are actually Taekwondo schools. Karate is just easier to say, right? So there's that. And so I think access and understanding that it's here and what the system is about, that's a big part of it, and being exposed to good instructors. And you know how it is when you see someone who looks like you and comes from your culture, it's easier to adapt and kind of easier to learn because you have some of the same cultural similarities.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. But there's a flip side to that, right? So the flip side of that is, I would get phone calls from Israelis and non-Israelis, Jewish and non-Jewish, going, well, are you Israeli? No. Well, how do you know how to do Krav Maga if you're not Israeli? And I would laugh at them. I'm like, I know how to make tacos, and I'm not Mexican. I'm not, I'm not Spanish. Like, I know how to do other things that are from other cultures. Like my life, though, my life is extremely multicultural. My family's multicultural. So like I'm well versed in obviously in the Chinese culture because of my family. And so I get that. So people sometimes can be reluctant to train because they're like, well, I want to train with an Israeli guy. And I'm like, okay. So my standard response is, no, I'm not Israeli, but I've beaten a lot of them up when we train.
Right.
and they usually look at me like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like I've trained with a lot of these guys. I was also the first American instructor certified by Sergeant Major Nir Maman out of the IDF. He used to run the Krav Maga program at the counter-terror school in Israel. And I was the first American instructor certified by him for Israeli Special Forces Krav Maga.
Okay.
So when I tell people that, then it kind of I think legitimizes it a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. You do know some stuff. It's like, all right.
Yeah, no, then it's always that. But I get it. It's part of the allure of martial art. People want to train kung fu, and they walk into the dojo and they don't see a Chinese sifu. They're like, what is going on?
I am looking for the master.
I was going to say that was exactly my experience when I first started training in traditional martial arts. I started kung fu, and my sifu was a black guy. So I was just like, for me, it was like, oh, great, but we would talk years, and we're still friends now, and I still kind of do some training every now and then. We always talk about that whole barrier where it's like people expecting to see a Chinese dude when they walk in and they see you. Is like sometimes that turns people away. Sometimes it's like, all right, I'm in. So
Well, listen. The truth of the matter is, if they want to train in your system, and you're the only one that teaches it, it kind of limits their things, and you have to be confident about that. And I try to impart that to other, black instructors and school owners and gym owners, business owners in general, right? Because it's two things. It's not. Sometimes people want to throw a blanket statement of racism on it, right? And it's not necessarily racist, and in the sense that that person looks at you and says, I don't want to deal with you because you're black. It is a sense of I think a cultural expectation or a norm that they've built up in their mind. And when they see something opposite, they're like, what's going on?
Right, what's up?
So no, and then some of it is racist, right? Some of it they just don't want to do it. And that's okay too.
Right.
Like, you don't want racist clients. I've had some. Believe it or not, I've had some. And it is what it is. I don't hang out with them. I teach them what I teach them. It's just business. But the other side of it is also true. That sometimes our people, we think black ice or white ice is colder than black ice. Right. I know. Like we have people that go, they'll stand online overnight to give Foot Locker money for Air Jordans, but won't support.
And won't support your own folks.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're one of the only cultures that does that. So it's like it's an insane sort of thing. Or you're looking for the hookup.
You got any soda?
$1.
Oh, come on now. Look out for a brother, man. Come on. Hey, check this out. Why don't you let me get a sip for 15 cents?
I tell people all the time, I'm like, hey, the price is the price, right?
Right.
Yesterday's price isn't today's price.
Today's price. Thank you.
And I take it a step further. If it's a black-owned business and it costs me even a little bit more and I want to support our community, I do it. I don't exclusively shop at black-owned places. I shop everywhere. But I understand that part of group economics means that we're going to have to do business with each other in order to bolster our own community. So on a larger scale, the support for black-owned businesses and martial arts schools, because they're very rare, unless you're in. Look, if you're in a predominantly black market like Atlanta, like a Detroit or
Cleveland, right? Exactly, right.
You're going to find more black-owned businesses, right?
Absolutely.
But we have to do a better job, I think, as a people, of understanding how we're all connected, and that doesn't mean exclusatory. So a lot of people hear this and they go, "Oh, that's racist." It's not, no,
it's not.
Chinatown isn't racist. I was in Chinatown yesterday here in Vegas.
Right.
No one stopped me from going in and buying and doing what I wanted to do when I go there. No, what they're saying is that, hey, this is a market that specifically focuses on a demographic, a growing demographic here.
Right.
Everyone is welcome, but the money that's spent in Chinatown usually bounces 30 times before it leaves Chinatown.
Exactly.
And so that goes to build the economy. It's not racist at all.
Yeah.
It's racist when you tell other people they can't come because they're not that racist.
Exactly.
It's racist when you burn their town down because they're building their own thing. Then it's racist.
Exactly.
So we've seen those things. So it's uncomfortable to talk about race issues for most people because I think for black folks, a lot of black folks, we're tired of talking about it and tired of living with it. And I know a lot of white folks are tired of hearing it because they're like, man, I'm not racist. I don't want to hear about it. But the reality of it is that as Americans, we should always be concerned for our fellow American.
For a fellow man, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if there's an issue that keeps coming up, then we have to, if we're serious about fixing it, for once and for all, rip the scab off of it, deal with it
head on.
Let's move forward collectively.
Yes, sir.
That's hard to do because there's a lot of people who perceive that they have a lot to lose if they do that.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult. And in Las Vegas, in this fight world, brother, let me tell you, I am surrounded by, I can close my eyes and throw a rock and hit an MMA school.
Right. Oh, I know. I was about to mention that because you're in Vegas. Yes, sir.
I'm in Vegas, so I'm in the fight capital of the world. And, as far as black-owned schools, there's only one other one that's an MMA school that I know of, and that's Black Cobra Striking Systems, Dewey Cooper.
Okay.
My guy Dewey, my brother Dewey. Shout out to Dewey Cooper.
Nice.
He has been a friend and a brother of mine for a long, long time. He comes over and eats, holiday dinners with us and the whole bit, and we love him to death. So there's a camaraderie within that works, and also too, like guys like One Kick Nick, Master Nick,
nice.
One Kick Nick. He's been a catalyst for a lot of young African American fighters and coaches to come out of his gym and go around the world to be able to do stuff. So the fight world isn't as segregated as the rest of the world is.
Yeah.
And that is based on real respect, and it's based on a love for the martial art.
Yes.
So it does bond, and it does bind. So it's great.
Yeah, no, I love that. My thing when harping on, going back to what you were saying before is like I can easily be pro-black without being anti-white. So it's like the two are not.
I don't need white folks to lose in order for black people to win.
Exactly.
That's not what this is about.
Exactly. So let me talk about your road to teaching. Did you always want to teach? Because obviously you were a natural leader in the Army. Did you always want to teach Krav Maga when you got into it, or was it just like I'm just doing Krav Maga?
No, I had no desire to teach. In fact, so it's 08. So I had been teaching prior to 08. I've been teaching. I went through the certification course. So in Krav Maga, we have a certification course where you have to be a student, kind of apprentice. So I apprenticed for like 5 years under my instructor, and then I would teach for him as I went through the certification course. And then he decided he wanted to retire and go. And it was 2008, and the bottom just fell out of the real estate market, which is the business that I was in.
Okay.
And I had the bright idea to go international and bring a smoothie company from Canada here to the United States.
Okay.
Which was a great product, but an absolute disaster from a business structure. Okay. So that bombed. Bad idea. So I'm literally down to my last probably $500 to $800 in my account, and I started the company that will become Las Vegas Combat Academy.
Nice. Okay.
So I I started teaching. My vision for the gym was a little bit different than my instructor's was. He wanted to stay in that small kind of self-defense realm.
Right.
And I thought about the business, right? Like you got to have a fitness component. You got to have a fighting component, especially here in Las Vegas. But our base is always going to be street self-defense because there's a lot of good gyms out here. So then
that makes sense.
We started doing that, and then I branched off into MMA. I studied under some great MMA instructors and fight coaches, like Dewey Cooper, like nice. One Kick Nick, where I took, we would talk, and then I took my biggest influence in the fight world is CSA, Coach Kirian Fitzgibbons out of CSA gym in the Bay Area.
Okay.
World-class gym, world-class organization, a lot of world-class fighters out of there. I basically went through his fight coach instructor certification course.
Okay.
And I continue to do so to this day because it's awesome.
Nice.
So that's how I got into it. That's it. And it ended up being a passion that turned into a paycheck.
I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah, no. And I love that story, man. And that's usually how these things happen, man. Sometimes happy accidents. And I love I've seen online the layout of your gym. And I was going to mention that you got a unique kind of setup because not only do you do Krav Maga, you got a mixture with BJJ, just fighting, boxing. So was it always kind of probably wasn't always, but as you started growing the business, it's like, oh, this would be great if I had a boxing coach here, if I had a BJJ coach, or was it just kind of happen as things progressed?
Yeah, no, it was intentional.
Okay.
My biggest influence, couple big influences on my life. Bruce Lee was a big influence on my life, and I loved his philosophy of take what's useful, discard what's not, and learn from everything.
Make the rest your own. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also didn't want to have to be the source of everything because now I'm tied to the business. So I went out and found coaches who have expertise.
Okay.
We've got two black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt instructors, soon to be 3.
Yeah.
We'll have 2 African-American Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt instructors here, which is great. Gracie got black belt, which is great, in-house and grown here. And then my boxing coach is Native American and grew up on the reservation a whole bit. Coach Derek, he's actually filming a big Netflix series right now. He's also an actor. And then Coach James is coming back to the mix. He just moved back from Texas, so the band is back together. We got Coach Chad that runs our Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Chad Lyman. He's one of the top law enforcement Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructors in the world. So we have a whole staff here of guys that have, like myself, who've coached from Bellator all the way up to the UFC and down. And so when people look at us as a Krav Maga gym, I understand why, because we marketed ourselves for that long, for that way. But the truth of the matter is, we're a combat academy. Street, cage, or ring, we can fight anywhere. We will, and we do.
I love that. And so I'm speaking on the teaching side and the training side. There's a benefit, and you can talk on this probably more, because as you're mentioning the instructor certification, I'm actually about to do another one of my levels tomorrow, and it's the whole weekend thing. So for AKMF, I'm in the American Krav Maga Federation. So it's worldwide, and you guys, it's very similar, because we've got a guy that came from worldwide, and
they started out of worldwide.
Exactly. So you know the deal. But there are definitely benefits to teaching as well as training. Did you find that, like, teaching, it actually helps you become better at, I think?
Yeah, no, for sure. Listen, because the thing is that students are going to come to you for answers, right? And so the truth of the matter is, Krav Maga is designed so that the masses can do it. But then when they're coming to us from an instructor standpoint, not everything that we do works for every single person, every single body type. We all will rise or fall to the level of our training and then our understanding of our own athletic inclination. What do we do well versus what do we do not do well? Right. And so ultimately, no matter how you train, when the fight happens, you're gonna live and die with your strengths. Right? Yeah. Like so if you've got glaring weaknesses that are causing you problems, you've got to tighten those holes up. But in general, I don't believe in worry about your weaknesses. I say practice your strengths. Yes. Ultimately, your strengths are going to be better than that person's strengths, and that's what's going to matter. Right? Yes. So Krav Maga helps in that regard. It's huge in that regard. But you're absolutely right. Learning to teach takes your own personal practice to another level.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I always ask instructors this, because I struggle with this myself. How do you, I always ask, I know there's not a secret formula or whatever, but getting people, especially because we're really geared for self-defense, self-awareness. Do you have problems getting students to kind of flip that switch, if you know what I mean, where it's just like, it's almost got to give like a license for people to get violent. It's like, get them in that mindset of, this could be a life or death thing. So train like it is.
So I call it poking the bear, right? Like one of the things that you do. So for a lot of people, you've got, I'd much rather have to tone someone down than to fire them up.
Yeah, me too.
So it's almost like looking for a guard dog. If you're looking for a good guard dog for the house, a dog you go to the pet store, you go to the pound or wherever, you're gonna get a dog, and you're looking for the one who's in the middle of the pit. Like snarling at everybody else, get away from me, I'm alpha as hell. Like that's the one right there. The one that's in the corner hiding, probably not going to make a good guard dog.
Exactly.
They're not wired for it. That doesn't mean they can't learn, but it's going to take longer, right? Now, that's kind of how people are. Some people come in with trauma, things that have happened to them. Some people were actually discouraged from ever fighting or defending themselves. Their families are pacifists.
Right.
And then some people just lack confidence and physical skill set and ability. Like they're not athletes, so they don't feel strong like they can do something. So now it's like, how do I get them from A to Z? How do I get them to even start that motor? Right. So we do a lot of emotional stuff, I'm like, okay, you can't fight for yourself? Good. So I literally have a shoot house in my room. Listen, imagine your mom is on the other side of that wall right now. You see that wall?
Right.
Or your loved one. Yeah. And I have someone on the inside smacking the wall, and someone's screaming help, and it's your mom screaming for help.
Nice.
What will you do? And now I've had people they get so upset they cry. They're like, I'm going to go in there and go kill whatever. I'm like, okay, that right there is the monster that is inside of all of us.
Yes.
Don't be afraid of the monster. learn who that monster is, and then when you need to let him out and play, let him out and play.
Okay, there you go. Coach Donavin Britt telling it like it is, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and please believe there's a whole lot more where that came from, including Coach Britt's thoughts on black belts for kids in martial arts, aka junior black belts.
Yeah, well, these are the people who either got their own black belt that way, or they're currently paying for little Johnny to get their black belt.
Right.
And but my thing is like, they're like, well, you can't say that. No, I am saying it.
So, thoughts, comments?
Bet your ass.
Drop them like a bad habit down below, and make sure you check back for part 2 of this discussion and so much more. Guys, stay tuned, stay safe, and keep punching.
Hey, this is Coach Britt with Las Vegas Combat Academy, and thank you for watching Kung Fu Chronicles. It's the only spot to watch. Let's go.